At first, Paul was only aware that something was wrong with her, without knowing exactly what. His third-year experience of the whole came during a seemingly ordinary conversation. Annie was, as usual, going on about how proud she was to have Paul Sheldon, the Paul Sheldon, in her own home. "I knew your face," she said, "but it was only when I looked in your wallet that I was sure it was you."
Oh, hello! I was reading one of my favorite parts of Misery, written by Stephen King. Maybe it sounds familiar to you because of the famous film Misery, directed by Rob Reiner and starring Kathy Bates and James Caan, based on this book. Misery tells a dark and psychological story centered on Annie Wilkes and Paul Sheldon. Paul is a reputable writer whose main saga is Misery, the main character of his books. However, he is tired of writing about misery, so he decides to kill the novel of Misery and this character. But after a road accident, Paul wakes up motionless into the home of one of the biggest and craziest fans of Misery, Annie Wilkes. Will this crazy woman let live Paul? In general, this book made me feel fascinated about how complicated is the human mind and how we manage to survive. It is one of the first books by Stephen King, so I couldn't appreciate really much the developed technique he has now. But we can see that when he wrote this book in 1987, his good taste was already appreciated. I feel like this book was particularly weak in the mid part, because sometimes it is a little slowly and repetitive. But the start and the end of the story are really full of content and I couldn't stop reading it. I enjoyed this book a lot because it creates a whole story in one only space, in one room, what makes it more distressing and oppressive. I also like that this book makes you feel like Paul. It describes so well his thoughts and his sensations. The story makes you being all the time in suspense, and the terror is really smart. I would highly recommend this book to anyone who wants to read a terror and psychological book, because this one is not a conventional story. It will keep you awake from the start to the end.